Rose Magbanua, a hard-working nurse facing financial struggles, is weary of city life after a traumatic incident where a man attempts to assault her at an ATM. Seeking a better life, she accepts a high-paying job as a private nurse in a remote, sprawling property that was once intended to be a hotel but now lies abandoned. Her mother gives her a rosary made from rosary P beads for protection before she leaves. Upon arriving at the property, Rose is greeted by Mabeth Candy Pangalainen, who introduces her to her patient, Peter Coleman, a retired U.S. Navy officer who appears frail and wheelchair-bound, suffering from dementia. The job seems straightforward. Care for Peter, administer his medication, and live in one of the villas on the property. The serene environment and good pay give Rose hope for a fresh start. However, she soon feels uneasy, sensing that someone or something is watching her. Act 2. Unsettling discoveries. As Rose settles into her role, she begins experiencing paranormal occurrences. She sees ghostly figures around the property, which she initially attributes to stress or the effects of smoking weed. However, the visions persist even after she stops using drugs. The spirits seem to be trying to communicate with her, but they don't attack. Rose tries to focus on her duties, caring for Peter, who alternates between being chatty and withdrawn. He often speaks fondly of a woman named Anne, whom Rose assumes as his deceased wife. Peter mentions that he admired all his former nurses but complains that they always wanted to leave, and he had to freeze them in his memory. Rose dismisses this as the ramblings of a dementia patient. Strange events escalate. Rose finds an empty bottle of Peter's favorite drink hidden in a bush, despite him claiming he hadn't touched it. One night, she senses a presence in her room and discovers a man in black clothes hiding under her bed. Terrified, she grabs a gun left by Mabeth for her protection and flees to Peter's villa, locking herself in. The next morning, she ventures outside, only to be chased and knocked unconscious by the mysterious man. When Rose regains consciousness, she's tied to a chair. The man in black, named Felix Wilbert Ross, explains that he's not there to harm her. He's searching for his missing girlfriend, Anne, who was a nurse at the property and disappeared months ago. Felix tracked Mabeth to the location, suspecting something sinister. He warns Rose that the property is dangerous, but before they can act, Peter appears, no longer frail, and attacks Felix, tying him up. Peter now holds Rose's gun, revealing a menacing side that contradicts his dementia diagnosis. Act 3. The truth unravels. Felix pleads with Rose to free him, revealing that Anne is one of the spirits haunting her. Rose checks Felix's phone and sees photos of Anne, confirming she's among the ghostly figures she's been seeing. Realizing Felix is telling the truth, Rose begins to suspect Peter. Peter, now fully in control, admits he's not sick and has been manipulating everyone. He reveals himself as a serial killer, dubbed the Owl Killer, by police, who preys on vulnerable women, particularly nurses, by luring them to his property. Anne was one of his victims, tortured and murdered like many others. Peter's backstory is revealed. As a child, he was abused by his mother, who called him weak and useless, keeping him in shackles. Inspired by the predatory tactics of an owl, he killed her by pretending to be weak and stabbing her with a broken ceramic plate. Since then, he's targeted women who remind him of his mother, taking sadistic pleasure in their suffering. His global travels as a Navy officer allowed him to kill undetected across the world, and hiring nurses was his latest method. Peter shoots Felix when he continues to demand answers about Anne. Rose, horrified, tries to escape into the woods, but Peter tracks her down, drags her back, and tortures her by carving her face and tying her up. The spirits of his past victims continue to appear, seemingly urging Rose to fight back. Act 4. Survival and retribution. The next morning, Peter orders Rose to cook breakfast. Weak and battered, she complies but secretly crushes the beads of her rosary, made from the highly poisonous rosary pea plant, and mixes them into his food. As Peter eats, he begins to choke and collapses, dying from the poison. The spirits guide Rose to a hidden freezer where Peter stored the bodies of his victims, including Anne. Overwhelmed by the sight of the innocent women who, like her, came for a better life, Rose breaks down. Searching Peter's belongings, Rose finds a booklet of news clippings about his killing spree, confirming his identity as the Owl Killer. She also discovers hidden cameras he used to monitor her and a shocking photo revealing that Mabeth is Peter's wife, complicit in his crimes. When Mabeth returns to the villa, she's stunned to see Rose alive and armed. Mabeth tries to claim she was coerced by Peter, possibly suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, but Rose, hardened by her ordeal, shoots her, unwilling to believe her excuses. Act 5. Resolution. In the film's closing scenes, Rose is in a hospital recovering from her injuries. Two police officers inform her that they found the bodies of Peter's victims in the freezer. To protect herself, Rose lies, claiming Felix killed Mabeth and that she was Peter's accomplice. The film ends with Rose having survived the nightmare, but the psychological toll and moral ambiguity of her actions linger. The spirits of the nurses, finally at peace with Peter's death, no longer haunt her. Key themes and elements: survival and resilience. Rose's journey is one of overcoming fear and fighting for survival against a cunning predator. Her resourcefulness, using the poisonous rosary, underscores her strength. Deception and betrayal. Peter's facade as a frail dementia patient and Mabeth's complicity highlight themes of trust and betrayal. Supernatural elements. The spirits of Peter's victims serve as both a warning and a guiding force, adding a paranormal layer to the psychological horror. Trauma and vengeance. Peter's actions are rooted in childhood trauma, while Rose's final acts of killing Peter and Mabeth reflect her transformation from victim to avenger. Isolated as a gripping psychological horror thriller that blends suspense, supernatural elements, and a tale of survival. Rose's harrowing experience at the hands of Peter, a serial killer masquerading as a helpless patient, and her ultimate triumph through cunning and resilience make for a chilling narrative. The film's exploration of trauma, deception, and the fight for survival, combined with its eerie atmosphere, delivers a memorable horror experience. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up, it really helps the channel out. Also, let me know what you thought in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. I'll see you in the next one.